Sean Dustin spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. Upon release in 2006, he had nothing but the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and legal paperwork. In 2010, he kicked a long-time methamphetamine habit and started the long climb back up the ladder of life. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. If you want transparency and authenticity, you're in the right place. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and this is Sean Dustin.
Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and I am your host, Sean Dustin. Today, I am talking with two ladies from which I'm familiar with Sandy. I know her through some different groups and different things that I'm involved in the criminal justice reform and prison reform space. And Sandy reached out to me because she needed help. She needed my help in amplifying the signal of an innocent person that's in prison right now and is not getting the assistance or the relief that he so desperately needs from the judicial system. And Sandy's here to explain the case and the situation. And we have Michele, who is, I believe you're his wife, right? Or we're not. Well, okay. Definitely neither for sure. You're his loved one who absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the mother of his 21-year-old son, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you're here to help, give your take on your experience as to what's happened and kind of helping to corroborate what Sandy's got in her case law or her case that she's came up with in her own research. So Sandy, I'm going to turn it over to you and Michele. And if I have any questions, I will be sure to ask them. But I really want to hear your guys' take on this situation.
Hey. Once again, I want to thank you for taking the time and sharing your knowledge with us and giving us a platform, which Charles Miller, who is the incarcerated individual in Broward County, Florida, has never before had. So thank you for that. I would like to start out by saying he was sentenced in 1998 to life without the possibility of parole for the murder of Wayne Ward in Broward County, Florida. He's in the Taylor Correctional Institution, and there have been 2 hung juries, a mistrial. There was absolutely no murder weapon presented in court. And I have in front of me certified court documents and the crime laboratory analysis reports. Carl Hammerly, the firearm and tool mark examiner, signed on September 1998 that all the casings from the gun, which was used to murder Wayne Ward, that were found around the vicinity of the crime, not one of those casings could be linked to Charles Miller in any way. Also signed by the DNA specialist, Lynn Baird, on February of 1999. Blood samples. The victim was wearing handcuffs. Blood samples were taken from those handcuffs that he was wearing at the time of his death, and blood samples from the vicinity of the crime scene. Absolutely none of the blood DNA evidence could link Charles Miller to this crime. None of it. Also, Eva Souter, she was the latent examiner in 1998. And again, in her own court testimony in 2002, out of 38 fingerprints found around the scene, on the vehicle, on the defendant, on the handcuffs. Out of 38, 4 were found to be that of the victim. Absolutely not one fingerprint matched Charles Miller. Not one. So we have no blood DNA evidence that matched, no fingerprint evidence that matched, and we have the casings from the weapon that could not link him in any way to this crime. So, in 2001, Lynn Baird, again, who was the DNA specialist, took samples from the right and the left fingernails of the victim, and those samples were found to only match that of the victim himself. And Charles's alibi, and Michele can well attest to this, he was not even in that vicinity at the time of the crime. We have 7 other individuals, at least 7 other individuals, that can attest to Charles's alibi. He was not even there. Okay, it is so confusing to me why this was not just absolutely dismissed from the beginning. And I will tell you, there were several witnesses that testified, and at least 6 of those witnesses were incarcerated individuals. I have excerpts from other prisoners that knew these witnesses, and these excerpts from handwritten letters, which are certified, notarized. And I have those. I'd like to read a couple of those too. But these witnesses did not know Charles Miller. They did not know him well enough. Some of them may have known him vaguely, but some of these people that testified were incarcerated individuals who did not even know what he looked like. Didn't even know what he looked like. Didn't know him at all. So I want to read to you. This is an affidavit of Gerald Howe. I may be pronouncing that name wrong, but I'm just going to read a tiny bit of it. He also told me that Eric lied when he testified that Perry Diaz told him Coop Miller, which Coop is Charles Miller, and Eric and Ed Aldred did this crime. And Eric lied when he said Coop did this crime. Kenny told me, that's Kenny Gardner, told me that he hated that he lied. But this is how the game goes. If a person wanted to get their time cut, being in the feds, and that paid off because he was sentenced to 12 and a half years and only did 8. And Eric got 10 years off his sentence.
I want to stop you right there, because that definitely is the conspiracy law in itself is so flawed, because the way that they do this is they just take a story from somebody, and a lot of the times when you're in federal holding and fighting your case, and you're in there with a bunch of people that are trying to figure out a way to get out of doing their time. And so what they do, all they have to do is, if they know anything about your crime, or if you've gone in there and you've talked about what you've done, you maybe talked to your cellie or something like that and mentioned details of it, but not really, you're not saying you did it, but you can pick up a lot of information off of somebody who's just telling the story, and all you need is that. And if you're somebody, I mean, these guys don't care about each other. You know what I mean? It's dog eat dog. And so you could literally get together with 3 people, corroborate a story, turn around and call the whoever it is and say, hey, I got some information about X, Y, and Z. And so that just seals the deal. There's no actual investigations that happen, other than the fact that they just take this story and say, okay, well, now here it is. They supersede the indictment. They now add this charge to it. They add that charge to it. And when you go to your next court date, now all of a sudden you've got this list of things that is like, what? I never did any of that. I've talked to at least 10 people so far that are in federal custody right now under conspiracy drug charges. Same thing. You're taking the word of a criminal that's being incentivized to tell the federal government whatever the hell they want. And that's prosecutorial misconduct. That's misconduct on the investigators, on the DEA agents, on anybody who's involved with that on the federal level. It's coercion, and it's wrong. I mean, oh my God, how is that even possible? That's what I want to know. How is it even possible that law that was created for RICO, basically, for career criminal type kingpin people that they couldn't get because they were so insulated by all the people around them, that they created this law for prohibition. And basically it was for prohibition. And who's that guy? Al Capone. That's where it started. And then it went into the mob and everything else, following that. But I mean, it's being misused so badly in so many different places. Go ahead, continue. Sorry.
Oh, thank you for that. This next excerpt comes from Nelson Del Rio. This was from 2003, and he was also incarcerated with one of these, prison snitches, which is what I'm going to refer to them as. He says, I know of Rafael Gonzalez, Dan Hutchinson, and Personal. They lied about everything about Mr. Charles Miller because I was there for the plotting and fabrication to frame Miller without even knowing who he was or what he looked like. Plus, they were waiting for a picture of Charles Miller from the friend, quote, agent Christian, to be able to identify him. So, whoever this agent was.
Hold on. Is that your dog?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Is that your dog? Like, because he's drowning out everything that you're saying.
Oh no! Let me shut the.
Yeah. Could you?
The door.
All right. Yeah, sorry about that. I just want them to be able to hear everything without the distraction of your fur babies. I have one too. All right, so we're waiting on that. So far, Michele, how is it? Like, I couldn't imagine knowing that somebody's innocent and they're having to serve. Like, how many years has he served so far?
They picked him up in May 1998.
98.
And he's been there since then. May 23rd, I want to say. Since 1998. I was 4 or 5 months pregnant with carrying our son. And it's been a up battle since then. Trying to write appeals, trying to get someone to listen to our story. And just haven't had any luck. And so here's our opportunity to tell our story.
Was he did he have any enemies, or was it just, how did he get in there to begin with? I mean, was it?
Well, Charles had some previous years that he spent in prison. And when he came home, I didn't know him before then. I met him after he got out of prison. But he came out running, trying to do the right thing, open up a car wash business, washing cars, trying to make money for his family. And this neighborhood that he was living in is a small community. And so I think that's where it started from. It started from people that sit in prison, like Sandy said, read before, and just wanted a way out. And they thought that was their way out.
So he wasn't even, he wasn't there. So this was all, so if I'm understanding it correctly, this was all conspired while he was out by people that were in, and bringing his name into it because they may have known him, or maybe they were jealous because he got out and was making something of himself and decided they wanted to, try and, there's always, there's always more to the story, You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really can't tell you how they come up with it. I really can't tell you how they come up with it.
Yeah.
My thing is I just think that they just saw it was a way out. And the guy that got murdered, he was I think they say he was a drug dealer. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure. I don't know that to be true.
Okay. All right. So basically, it's just a case of like what I was saying is that they just got some names and they never bothered to investigate it any further. It's like, okay, case solved. Let's go. Let's move on.
And it's important to know he wasn't the only one arrested for this murder. There were four arrests,
Right.
And the others have all been released. I think there's one that might still be serving time, but it's not related to this crime.
Yes, it is. It is.
Is it?
Yes. Perry Dees is serving a life sentence. Well, yes.
Okay, so Sandy, go ahead and continue with your presentation. I was just trying to fill in some of the airtime there.
Yeah, thank you. The mailman was here. Okay, so as I was saying, this is from Nelson Del Rio in 2003. He says, from what I know of Rafael Gonzalez, Dan Hutchinson, and Personal, they lied about everything about Mr. Charles Miller because I was there for the plotting and fabrication to frame Miller without even knowing who he was or what he looks like. Plus, they were waiting for a picture of Charles Miller from this friend, quote, agent, Christian, to be able to identify him. So these people who were getting ready to testify against Charles Miller were waiting for a picture so they could see what he looked like before they testified against him. And then I have one final. This is actually, and Michelle, correct me if I pronounce her name wrong, please. Nika West.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Nika West was the victim's significant other, and she was pregnant at the time of the murder. She was one of those that was arrested, and now she is free. But they tried to get her to testify also. And what she said was, I understand I lied on my last statement only because Detective Tim Dugan and Juanita Reed told me what to say. I have been asking for a lie detector test or whatever needs to be done to prove myself innocent. I really do not know anything, and I am not about to testify on innocent people. The only person I know is Eddie Aldred, and that's all. I do not want innocent people to be put away for something they did not do. That is from the victim's significant other. I think that's huge.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, like this isn't the first time we're hearing about these things. It's coming like more and more. It's becoming more and more obvious that what really happens in these situations is that they're more interested in just getting somebody for the crime, doesn't matter who it is, so they can close it, get a conviction, and their conviction rate stays up, so they keep getting that federal funding. The more convictions that or callers that these agents have is their stepping stone to promotion. I don't know what the amount is, but I mean, there's always a mechanism of incentivization for people to do wrong. Always. Yes. And if there's a way that they can cheat the system and not have to like go out and do real detective work, like real detectives are supposed to do, right? Like we see in the TV, we see in the movies, all these detectives, we're knocking on doors, we're beating feet on the concrete, we're doing this, we're doing that. That does not happen anymore. Maybe in some instances in murders and stuff like that. But I guarantee you in a lot of these cases where they don't know, or it would just be easier to just call it conspiracy and get somebody's testimony that's willing to be a dirtbag, basically. And there's tons of them there. I mean, jailhouse snitches. I mean, that's a common term. Why do they call them jailhouse snitches? Because they look for opportunities to get themselves out of trouble by lying. And you have plenty of ears that are willing to listen and not investigate.
Yeah, and another thing that I'm so concerned about is the situation of when someone is incarcerated, even if law enforcement, and I used to be on the I used to be on that side of things, and but I was the head legal secretary for a prosecutor, so I was in court 3 days a week. Clearly, I'm no longer on that side of the coin. But
can I ask why? I mean, is there a specific reason? What made you decide to switch teams?
I tell you, I have a Facebook group for women, just empowering women, and someone approached me through that Facebook group and said, "I need to talk to you. I need help." That was the first person I advocated for. After listening to the story of what he's had gone through, the impact it made on the family, the looking at the case and becoming overwhelmed and distraught that it was so evident, clearly evident, that he didn't commit the crime. The same thing as with Charles. Michele has been physically ill, just trying to get through this process, and it's heartbreaking. So I was already
How old is your sorry, Charles? How old is Charles? Sorry about that.
Charles is 21 today. His birthday is today. Happy birthday, son. So he's 21 today, and he has missed his dad. He's missed his whole entire life.
and Charles Senior. How old is Charles Senior?
Charles Senior will be December the 10th. He was born 72, so he was 43, 44.
Wow, no, if he was born in 72, he's 47 because I'm 46. I was born in December 5th, 73. So he's a Sagittarius.
So he's been gone so long. I forgot how old he is. It's crazy, man. It's really.
Yeah, I mean, so how do you? I mean, our time of living is a little bit longer, but I mean, you're the time, that's so crazy, man. I don't understand it. And I think what's the most disturbing about it that I'm starting to find, because this isn't the first time that I've heard of somebody who's had somebody lie on them, and actually, some of the people I've talked to, that they've been caught lying. and cases have been dismissed or time has been lessened because of the lies that they told, but it doesn't go retroactive to everybody that they ratted out. It only goes to that person because the government has the burden of proof to get you in. You, the victim, has the burden of proof to get you out when something's come to light. It's like, well, if you can't afford it and you don't know anybody in the law library, or you don't have the ability to go and do that research yourself in the law library, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because, or unless somebody is going to advocate for you or try to, and that's flawed. That's a flawed system. Because once one thing is, I mean, they do this in like, let's say we were doing some documents, right? And one document was found to be fraudulent. Well, from that point, everything after that is now considered fraudulent and void, right? It's no longer a binding contract because there was fraud that was an instrument to get that contract in place. So now everything else is dismissed down the road. Well, that's the way it should happen if they used, a criminal testimony to get you in, to prison for decades. I mean, we're not talking like 5 years. We're not talking, we're not talking chump change here. We're talking serious time. So,
possibly a third of his life.
Yeah. So let's. I want to speak more to Michele, your experience and the hardship that it's created on you, whether it's financial, health, raising your child alone, not having a father in his life and a role model. Was there acting out as he was younger? I mean, did you have to? I mean, because a lot of those things are symptoms of a child that doesn't have that's missing something,
Yeah. Thank God I was blessed with an amazing son. I have a daughter as well. That Charles was a part of her life as well. I had an amazing son. Only problem I had with Charles was he was born with a disease called sickle cell disease, disability. And it was so many nights, so many days that we laid up in that hospital as a child. And so to go and be by myself and to do that alone for as long as we have, that's the heartbreaking thing. His dad was there many days. His dad would call. We'll be in the hospital. His dad would weep on the phone, not knowing why he couldn't be there with his child. I didn't understand. So yeah, that was the hard part. My son having sickle cell disease that he still has now, that he's going to live with for the rest of his life as a deadly disease. That we've been fighting against, and not having his dad around. It's just so overwhelming. It's just really, really overwhelming. Even his mom, Charles's mom, just passed away a year and a half ago with cancer. He's the only child on his mom's side. That she had to die alone without her son. And hoping that she was praying every day that he'll come home before she passed away. Evidently, that didn't happen. He's still locked up. He's still away. And his mom is gone. We had to bury his mom without him even being there, So, yeah, those are the challenges that we have faced these last 18, 19, 20 years, since he's been gone.
So did any of the investigators come in, and since you were his alibi, right?
Right.
And he was, when the time of the crime was supposed to be committed, he was with you. So did they do a whole lot of investigating around that?
No, not really. I took to the stand.
But that was it. Like none of the prosecutor, none of the agents came to try and talk to you prior to that. It's just so. I mean, that's really a testament to no investigation. No. Because if they took his statement and he said that I was with my wife, the first thing I would do is, as somebody who's investigating something, I would go and talk to you. Yeah. And get and see and face to face and see if I can pick up any signs that you're lying.
Oh, The only time I went and saw someone was the prosecutor right before trial. I sat down with them along with Charles's lawyer at the particular time, the state appointed lawyer at the particular time, and told my side of the story, and that was it. Nothing else.
And what city and state was this in?
This was in Broward County, Florida.
Broward County. Oh, you know what, man? There's not a lot of good stuff that comes out of Broward County, Florida. I hear a lot of bad things. Like whenever there's some problem with something, that's Wasserman Schultz area, right?
Right.
Oh, we don't want to get into any of that I know about that lady, but yeah, it's not a lot of good stuff coming out of Broward County, that's for sure. I mean, not the people, but just the corruption and everything that's involved within that part of Florida is just. I've never heard anything good. So yeah, that's horrible, man. So what? I think is this the first attempt that we're trying to make as far as a plea, to people and to try to get, the change. Is there a changenow.org website that we can go to sign a petition and stuff like that have been created so far?
Yes, there is. I started it last night. We've already got several signatures. So there is a petition, change.org, and I can send you a link to that. Okay,
yeah, for sure. Send me that, and I'll put that up in the description of this. Yeah, it's just so we're in the beginning phases of this. So 90, you said 98? 98. 2008, yeah. 2018, 20. So that's 22 years. Being innocent, and like, oh man, that's crazy. And that just goes to show you that I feel like the system preys on the weak, the meek, and the expression is ignorant, but it's in ignorance. It means uninformed. You know what I mean? You don't know what your rights are. You don't know anything, and they prey on. I feel like, and this is my own opinion, that the judicial system and, the law enforcement and everything else, they prey on the poor and the people that can't defend themselves to make that system run. And they do the same thing within the financial system as well. You saw what happened in 2008, where all these people lost their homes. And a lot of them were melatonin-skinned individuals that didn't know any better. They trusted the people that they thought they should, and they ended up getting screwed for it in the end. And, I think that's a testament to, the conditioning of America, and, how people of color are just, disregarded as being anything, you know what I mean? And that's a horrible way to look at things. And where we're at right now is a symptom and a byproduct of that. People are tired. People are tired of being victims. They're tired of being used. And it's not just, I feel like black and brown folks get the worst of it, but poor white people are starting to see it too now. It's not a racist thing. It's a class thing. And all of the stuff that's being thrown at us, and trying to convince us that it's racism. Oh, it's race. No, it's not race. It's class. It's a class war. It's not a race war. And it's about time that, things are righted. The wrongs that have been happening to everybody out there need to be fixed. And we need a system that's going to be fair to everybody, not just imposing things on the people that can't defend themselves. So I hope that we're going to reach some people with this and start the process of writing this, because if you're a lawyer out there and you're watching this, and this should be enough just to pique your curiosity and go, oh, well, let me take a look at that. It doesn't take a whole lot to get on Pacer. If you have an account, pull up the case file and start taking a look. and that's all we can hope for. We got some other leads too. There's the Innocence project out there that he's going to write a letter to or wrote a letter to, and we just got to keep putting that effort in to try and boost the signal of people like yourself who are victims of the system that it was designed. People like to say that, oh, the system's broke, it's broke. No, it is not broke. It is working exactly how it's designed to work. The problem is that it's almost like large scale agriculture. All right. It's a huge machine, and it sucks up everything as it's going through the fields, and it's killing animals. It's killing little, all kinds of things. But that's byproducts of the machine. And the big system that runs that machine, and our judicial is the same way. It's so big, and it has one function, and that's to prosecute and punish. There's no rehabilitation in it whatsoever, unless you're going to rehabilitate yourself. And hopefully he's been in there and he's been, reading and trying to do whatever he can to better himself. So when he does get out, because he's going to get out. If he's innocent, he's going to get out. It'll get proven at some point. Somebody will hear this. Somebody will pick up the call and answer and come to help him. I believe. I think that's, it's a slow process.
And I just want to add this to it. Charles, he tells me this all the time, and he said this morning. His main concern is right now that the victim's family does not know the truth. That's his main. He's like, the victim's family don't even know the truth. They thinking it's me and someone else is running around here that did this. And so he's not even thinking about himself. He's thinking about even the victim's family after all these many years that they don't even know the truth, So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Michelle.
Go ahead.
I really want to give you a taste of who Charles Miller is. In there over 20 years, I spoke with Chaplain Sheets yesterday, who works very closely with Charles in the prison. And this is just little keynotes that I learned from that conversation. He says of Charles, he has very high integrity. He is very respectful. He is very humble. He is, quote, the real deal. He works when young people are incarcerated. He immediately approaches these young people and says, I want to help you. I want you to learn. I want you to go through this program. I want you to do this. I'm here for you. Talk to me. He is very encouraging to the young people that are coming in. Also, he's teaching a faith and character program, which the chaplain actually approached Charles several times before Charles finally said, okay, I'll do it. So he's grandfathered in as a liaison between the facilitator and the group, and he is certified in a program called FIT, which is Family Integrity Training. And there are 18 facets of that program that Charles is teaching and helping others to go through. Some of those things are how to cope once you are released, how to take care of a checkbook, how to do your financial responsibilities, how to speak with your wife, how to care for your children, how to be a top-notch individual in society. So I have no doubt that when he is finally free, I mean, he's going to be pivotal to what we stand for. He's going to make a difference.
Well, yeah, he'll also be an asset to the community that he's released to. You know what I mean? Because once you've gone through something like this, you automatically by default become an advocate, because you're a testament to don't give up. It's not over until it's over. And that's just kind of how we have to approach these things now. And I hope, and that's great that he's doing that, because that's where I've been to prison, not for that long a time, but I mean, I was there long enough to realize that I didn't want to go back. But I wasn't there long enough to deal with the behavior that I had, right? The type of the criminality and everything else that I had accumulated to that point. And that never changed. So I think it's great that he's in there and he's basically a mentor to the younger guys that are coming in, and they need that. They need to be able to talk to somebody that's in there and that's there for a long time to guide them through the process, and hopefully they don't get caught up in any of the other stuff that can go on in there that will give you more time, and there are lifers in there that don't care about, you know what I'm saying? Don't care that you got an exit date, because they don't.
Yeah.
And, since I'm not going nowhere, I need some more friends and that are going to be here as long as I am. And that's the mentality. And so you really have to be careful about that. And having that in there is super important, because if you can keep them on that path, then you get dished off to what I'm trying to put in process now. And as far as reentry goes, because I have a nonprofit that I'm trying to start for guys that are coming out. And we need those guys that are in there doing long stints of time to help with that process, because reentry should start from the moment you enter prison or jail. That's when reentry starts. You need to start thinking about how you're going to change the behavior, how you're going to function, learning all the things you don't know, and then reinforcing that when they get out by teaching them again. This is what you got to go do. This is how you got to go do this. It's relearning how to be a man all over again, because somewhere along the line it got corrupted, and for you, I wouldn't say that. I mean, yeah, he got out and he had done some time prior, but it looked like he had already figured that part out. Like, I don't want to go back. He's just an unfortunate victim of the way that the system is designed and how it's flawed.
Yeah. Just to say about his mentoring, every time a group of guys go home, he always give them my phone number, and they will call me back and say, "Oh my God, I miss him so much. You don't know how he's such a great person, how he has changed me, has made me want to change for the better." And so, he's doing the right thing in there. He's really doing the right thing. Now we just need him to come home so he can do the right thing at home.
And that's a serious testament, because
Chaplain Sheets said the only time he ever sees Charles frustrated or upset is when he reaches out to one of these young kids that comes in and
You're still on. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
You just froze up a little bit.
Yes. Is that he only gets frustrated or sad when he reaches out to one of the young people that comes in, and they have no interest at this point in doing anything more. So, he's just a top-notch guy.
On the right track, absolutely.
And that's really all he can do, because I mean, he has no incentivization right now other than the fact that that's just who he is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that says a lot, because there's plenty of people that go in and just sit around and do nothing. They just do their time and really don't do a whole lot to help anybody else and or help themselves at all. They're just, part of that rotating door, of coming and going, coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. This is my life. I'm coming and going, so not having incentivization to me speaks volumes of somebody that if that's just who you are, man. You can't hide who you are for 22 years. You know what I mean? At some point, the real you is going to come out if that's not you. So we're at about 45 right now. And I'm going to say, I was supposed to do this as a Facebook Live and I forgot to hit it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put some stuff together, and then I'm just going to do it live, into the 3 spots today at some point, like maybe an hour from now or 2 hours from now, and then do the podcast after that, just to get this out there and going right now.
I appreciate it so much. You guys really,
Oh,
I really do. He has put so many appeals and so many things that has not gone his way. And so just hoping and praying that soon one day he will be able to come home to his family, because I just feel that I wouldn't have stuck around as long as I have if I know he had did this. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that he did not do this. I know that. I would put my children on the line, and any parent knows their children is the most valuable thing to them. And so I just hope and pray that somebody sees this, somebody hears this, and somebody just help us, because we have did everything we can do, and there's nothing else we can do now. So just hoping somebody hears the story, get it out there, and hopefully one day he'll be free.
so Michele, you are an amazingly strong woman for standing beside of him all these years, raising those children. I'm glad you have a tight-knit family that you can lean on when you need to. And it is my pleasure to be working on behalf of you and Charles.
I really appreciate it.
So if somebody is out there and they are listening and they do want to help, how can they get a hold of somebody? Like, where can they go? Like, let's say a lawyer's listening to this and he's like, oh my God, I'm going to take a look at this. Where can they go to contact you? Or, I mean, do you have his address and his, where he can be reached through correspondence?
Yes, Sandy, do you have his address? You want to give it?
Absolutely. Now, since you're going to be going over this, do you want me just to send you the links?
Yeah, you can send me the links to the you can do the changenow.org links. That'll be in the description, and everything that you're going to tell me will be in the description. I just want to, if you want to voice it, you can.
I absolutely will. Let me,
And Michele, thank you for taking the time to come out and be a part of this as well.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way. Absolutely. You guys are doing me a favor by putting this out here. Just for so long, I just felt that no one would hear us. And so just to even get this to this point, I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of people like me out there right now that are doing the same thing, because this is a huge issue. I mean, just look at where we are societally in our own system and how, I don't want to get into that, but I mean, it's obvious that things aren't how we think they are or should be right now in the world and in our own country.
Yes, absolutely.
I've had so many papers out. I'm actually looking for his physical address. Well, it's actually, I can give you his number. He is in Taylor Correctional Institution, and it is in Perry County, Perry, Florida, right? Perry, Florida?
Very Florida. Yes.
And his inmate number
775636.
Yes.
Hey, so you know that by heart. That's how long you've been. That's a number I bet you wish you didn't know.
Exactly.
So yeah, all of the Sandy, everything will be available. So just, you're going to have about an hour to 2 hours to come up with everything that you need to email me as far as like information that you're going to want in the show notes. And in that way, it'll be there forever until he gets out there, where people can find his information, and even if I don't know, if you have information of somebody that that could possibly help him, feel free to reach out to any of us, you know. I'm pretty easy to find out there. It's linktr.ee/nowhere to go but up. My email's on there, or any of my social media that you can reach out to me, and I can put you in contact with Sandy or Michele as well. So, you know, the main thing is that if you can help, or you know somebody that can help, or where to direct, you know, to organizations that we don't know about, because we know about the Innocence Project. There's some other ones out there. You know, if you know of some organization that's helping with these types of situations, please feel free to.
My information and Michelle's information. And you know, you can always reach out to Charles through JPAL. He would love to hear words of support from anyone. He really would.
Yeah, so you heard it. Everything will be available in the show notes as well. Again, thank you, Michele. Thank you, Sandy, for being an advocate for people who don't have a voice. You know, and that's really what we're doing. We're amplifying the signal of people that don't have a voice and can't fight for themselves, really, and trying to get them the exposure that they so desperately need.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Much respect.
And good luck. Let's stay in touch. Let's try and move this thing forward. Well, nothing ever happens quickly in the judicial, but let's try and do the best that we can to amplify this signal and right the wrong here. So thank you for coming out and sharing your story with me, and for the listeners, thank you for you know, same thing, for listening, and you know, any help that you can give would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, hang out for a second.
You've been listening to the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. Sean is a single dad, a union blue-collar guy, and he spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. When he was released from prison in 2006, all he had was the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and some paperwork. Since then, he's turned his life around and shares the struggles and successes on this podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you were moved. To connect to the show, book a guest spot. For merch, Patreon, PayPal, and social media links, go to linktr.ee/nowhere to go but up. On Instagram at Nowhere to Go But Up Now. On Twitter at But Up Now. On the YouTube channel at Nowhere to Go But Up Podcast. See you next time.